A king sits on a throne at the center of all creation. He is the most powerful being in the universe. He has overthrown his own father to take this throne, and he rules over gods and the cosmos itself. And he is terrified because a prophecy has told him that one day, one of his own children will rise up and destroy him, exactly as he destroyed his father before him. So this king has found a solution, a monstrous one. Each time his wife gives birth, he takes the newborn child and he swallows it whole, alive, one after another, his own sons and daughters vanishing down into the darkness of his belly so that none of them can ever grow up to challenge him. This is not a horror film. This is the foundation of Greek mythology, the most influential collection of stories ever told by human beings, stories that gave us our words, our planets, our art, our nightmares, and our gods. And it begins with a family so violent, so paranoid, and so utterly broken that nothing we've invented since has ever quite matched it. But to understand that throne and the terrified king upon it, we have to go back before the gods, before the earth, before light itself, all the way back to nothing at all. This is the birth of the gods. Greek Mythology, Part 1. Welcome to History Geek. Today, we begin something special, a 3-part journey through the entire saga of Greek mythology, told from the very beginning, the way the ancient Greeks themselves told it, drawn from their oldest surviving accounts. This is Part 1, how the universe was born and how a single cursed family clawed and devoured their way to the throne of the cosmos. And if you want to see all 3 parts, here's the deal. Hit subscribe and ring the bell right now so you don't miss Part 2 and Part 3 when they drop. This is going to be an epic, and you do not want to come in halfway. One tap. It means everything to this channel. Done? Good. Let's begin at the beginning. Stay with me to the very end, because there's a single dark thread running through this entire story. A curse passed from father to son, and how it finally breaks will change everything. Let's go. In the beginning, the Greeks said there was chaos. But forget what that word means to us today. To the Greeks, chaos didn't mean disorder or mess. It meant a great yawning void, a vast, dark, empty gap. Before there was a sky to look up at, or ground to stand on, or a single spark of light, there was only this endless emptiness. The first thing that ever was nothing. A nothing so total, it's almost impossible to picture. And then, out of that void, the first powers of existence simply came into being, not created by anyone. There was no one yet to create them. They emerged on their own from the emptiness itself. The greatest of these first beings was Gaia, the earth herself, not a goddess who lived on the earth, but the earth alive and aware, the broad and solid foundation on which everything to come would one day rest. With her came the dark depths below, a pit deeper than the deepest abyss called Tartarus, and crucially, there came Eros, desire, love, the deep driving force of attraction that would pull all things together and make them create. Without Eros, nothing would ever have joined, and nothing new would ever have been born. The universe needed the urge to create before it could create anything at all. Now the cosmos begins to fill. From the void came night and darkness, and the great earth, Gaia, alone, brought forth her equal and her covering, Uranus, the sky. The starry heavens stretched out vast above her, matching her in every direction, so that there would always be a home for the gods to come. And then earth and sky, Gaia and Uranus, came together, the first parents, the first family. And from their union, poured the first true generation of gods, enormous, primordial, powerful beings called the Titans, 12 of them, mighty beyond imagining. Among them was Oceanus, the great river that the Greeks believed encircled the entire world, and among them, born last, was a Titan whose name you should remember, because he is the terrified king from our opening. His name was Cronus, but the Titans were not the only children of earth and sky. Gaia also gave birth to other beings, and these ones their father could not bear to look at. First came the Cyclopes, 3 giant beings, each with a single great eye in the middle of its forehead and hands that could forge the most powerful weapons in existence. And then came something even more terrible. 3 beings so monstrous they're almost impossible to imagine. Each with 100 arms and 50 heads. The Greeks called them the 100-handers. They were the strongest and most violent of all the children of earth and sky, and their own father feared and hated them. So Uranus, the sky, did something unforgivable. As each of these children was born, he shoved them back down, deep into the body of Gaia, the earth, into her darkest hidden places, refusing to let them see the light. He imprisoned his own children inside their mother, and Gaia, the living earth, groaned with the agony of it, crammed full of her trapped children in constant pain. And as she suffered deep in her vast heart, the earth began to plan her revenge. Racked with pain and fury, Gaia created a weapon, a great sickle, a curved blade, jagged-toothed, forged from the hardest substance in existence. And she went to her imprisoned children, the mighty Titans, and she begged them, "Help me, punish your cruel father for what he has done to us all." And here is the first great moment of dread in this entire saga, because the Titans, mighty as they were afraid. They heard their mother's plea, they saw the terrible blade, and one by one they refused. None of them dared to raise a hand against the sky himself, none of them except the youngest, Cronus. Cronus took the blade. He was crafty, ambitious, and utterly fearless, and some would say utterly ruthless. He told his mother, "I will do it. I have no love for our monstrous father." And so Gaia hid him, waiting the great sickle in his hands. When night came, Uranus, the sky, descended as he always did, to lie with Gaia, the earth, drawing the darkness over the world. And from his hiding place, Cronus struck. With one swing of that monstrous sickle, the sun maimed and overthrew the father. He castrated Uranus and flung the severed parts away, out across the world. And in that single violent instant, the sky was torn from the earth forever, which the Greeks believed is why the heavens stand so far above us, why sky and ground are forever separated. They were ripped apart by a sun's blade, and from that violence, from the blood and the severed flesh, came new life in the strange way these myths so often work. Where drops of Uranus's blood fell upon the earth, terrible new beings sprang up, the giants and the Furies, dread spirits of vengeance who would one day punish those who shed family blood. A grim irony, born in the very act of a son attacking his father. But from the part cast into the sea, something else entirely was born. As the foam churned and gathered around it, out of the white sea foam rose one of the most beautiful beings in all of mythology, Aphrodite, goddess of love and desire, drifting to shore on the waves. From an act of brutal violence, beauty itself was born. I should note, this is the oldest version of her birth. Later, Greeks told a gentler tale that she was simply a daughter of Zeus. But in the beginning, the Greeks said love came from the sea, from a wound in the sky, and as Uranus, broken and overthrown, withdrew from the world forever, he spoke a curse upon his sons. He warned them, and the word he is said to have used gave them their very name, the Titans, the overreachers, that for this monstrous deed vengeance would surely come, that a day of reckoning would arrive, that what they had done to their father would one day be done to them. Cronus, the new king of the universe, did not listen, but he should have, because that curse was about to come for him. With his father gone, Cronus took the throne of the cosmos and ruled over all things. He took his sister, the Titaness Rhea, as his wife. And for a time, the Greeks remembered his reign as a kind of golden age, a time of plenty, before the harder ages of the world to come. But Cronus couldn't enjoy his throne because he carried a secret terror. His parents, Earth and Sky, had given him a prophecy, and it was a cruel one. They told him that, for all his strength, he too was destined to be overthrown, not by a rival, not by a stranger, by his own child. One of his own sons would rise up and cast him down, exactly as he had cast down his father. Cronus had committed the first great act of family violence, and now he lived in dread that it would echo back onto him. So he made a choice that is one of the most chilling in all of mythology. Each time his wife Rhea gave birth, Cronus took the newborn and swallowed it whole, alive. He devoured his own children one after another the moment they entered the world. A daughter, swallowed. Another daughter, swallowed. A son, another daughter, another son. 5 children, sealed alive inside their own father, trapped in the dark of his belly, simply because he was too afraid of what they might one day become. And Rhea, their mother, was shattered. She had to give birth again and again, knowing that each precious child would be torn from her arms and devoured. Imagine that grief, 5 times over. Until at last, pregnant with her 6th child, Rhea decided she could not bear it one more time. She would save this one, no matter what. So she went to her own parents, Earth and Sky, and begged them for a plan. And on their advice, when her time came, Rhea slipped away in secret to a hidden cave on the island of Crete. And there, in the dark, away from her devouring husband, she gave birth to her 6th child, a son. She named him Zeus, but she still had to face Cronus. He would be waiting, expecting a child to swallow. And so Rhea pulled off the great trick at the heart of this entire story. She took a large stone, she wrapped it carefully in soft, swaddling clothes, like a newborn baby, and she handed the bundle to Cronus. And the great king of the cosmos, so consumed by fear, so used to devouring his children without a second thought, snatched it and swallowed it whole, stone and all, never realizing he'd been deceived. He believed he had eaten his 6th child. He had eaten a rock, and far away, hidden in that Cretan cave, the real child, Zeus, was growing. The Greeks said he was nursed in secret, hidden from his father's gaze, and that loyal guardians clashed their weapons and shouted to drown out the sound of the infant's crying, so Cronus would never hear it on the wind. The one child Cronus feared most was alive, and growing stronger every day. The prophecy was already coming true, and the devouring king had no idea. Zeus grew into his power in secret, far from his father, and when at last he was ready, he came for Cronus, not with a blade like his father before him, but with cunning, working with an ally, a clever goddess of wisdom. Zeus arranged for Cronus to be given a special potion, and whether by trickery or by force, Cronus was made to vomit up everything he had swallowed. First came the stone, the very rock he'd eaten thinking it was baby Zeus, and then, one by one, out came his children, alive, fully grown. the 5 gods he had devoured, freed at last from the darkness of his belly. And these were no ordinary siblings. They would become some of the most famous gods in all of mythology: Hestia, Demeter, and Hera, and 2 brothers who would stand at Zeus's side, Hades and Poseidon. The swallowed children were reborn into the light, full of rage at the father who had eaten them and ready for war. What followed was a war so vast, the Greeks said it nearly tore the universe apart. On one side, Zeus and his freed brothers and sisters, the new generation of gods who made their stronghold on a great mountain, Mount Olympus. On the other, Cronus and most of the mighty Titans. It became known as the War of the Titans, and it raged for 10 long years, with neither side able to win, until Zeus remembered something. Or rather, someone, far below, still imprisoned in the depths of the earth, were the monstrous children that first Uranus and then Cronus had locked away in terror, the Cyclopes and the terrible 100-handers. Zeus did what no king before him had dared. He went down into the dark, and he set them free. And the freed monsters repaid him beyond measure. The Cyclopes, master craftsmen, forged for Zeus the most powerful weapon the universe had ever seen, the thunderbolt, the lightning of the heavens, to hurl at his enemies. This is the weapon you picture in his hand to this day, and it was a gift from the very monsters his father had feared and chained. And the 100-handers, those beings with 50 heads and 100 arms each, waded into the war and turned the tide. The Greeks described it vividly, each of them seizing huge boulders and hurling them by the hundreds, all at once, burying the Titans under an unstoppable storm of rock. The sea boiled. The earth shook, the sky itself rang with thunder. Zeus blazed with his lightning until the whole world seemed on fire, and it was too much. The Titans broke. They were overthrown, defeated by the children and the monsters they had tried to suppress. Zeus and his siblings dragged the defeated Titans down into the deepest pit of all, Tartarus, and sealed them there in chains, with the 100-handers set to guard them so they could never escape. Cronus, the devouring king, the father who ate his children, was cast into the abyss. The curse of Uranus had come true at last. The son had overthrown the father again. Zeus had won, but the earth, Gaia, was not finished. She was enraged that her children, the Titans, had been chained in the pit, and so she brought forth one final, ultimate horror to challenge the new king, the deadliest monster ever born. His name was Typhon. He was so vast, his head was said to brush the stars. From his shoulders grew 100 dragon heads, with fire flashing from their eyes and a chaos of terrifying voices roaring from their throats. He was bigger and more powerful than anything that had come before, and he came for Zeus's throne, intending to rule gods and men himself. For a moment, the Greeks said, even the gods were afraid. The entire victory hung in the balance. And so, the king of the gods faced the deadliest monster in creation, alone in a battle that scorched the world. Zeus unleashed the full fury of his thunderbolts, blast after blast, until the very mountains melted and the seas hissed and boiled, and at last, he struck Typhon down. He hurled the broken monster deep beneath the earth. And the Greeks said that is why, to this very day, certain mountains rumble and spit fire. Beneath them, they believed, the great beast Typhon still writhes in his prison. Even their volcanoes had a story. With the last threat destroyed, the new order of the universe was finally set. Zeus and his 2 brothers divided all of creation between them. They drew lots. And to Zeus fell the sky and the heavens, and the kingship over all. To Poseidon fell the vast and restless sea, and to Hades fell the shadowy underworld. the realm of the dead. The world, as the Greeks knew it, had taken its shape. But remember the curse, the dark thread I promised you at the start. 3 times now it had struck, Uranus overthrown by Cronus, Cronus overthrown by Zeus. So the terrifying question hung over everything. Would Zeus too one day be destroyed by his own child? And here is how Zeus broke the cycle. He learned of a prophecy that his clever first wife, the goddess of wisdom, was destined to bear a child greater than its father. The old Zeus's father would have eaten the child, but Zeus did something stranger and cleverer, and yes, just as unsettling. He swallowed the mother. He took the pregnant goddess of wisdom into himself, so that her wisdom became his, and the dangerous child could never be born to overthrow him. And the Greeks said, that is why, soon after, the goddess Athena was born not from a mother's body, but fully grown, in gleaming armor springing directly from the head of Zeus himself, power and wisdom united in the king. The curse of the devouring fathers was finally broken. Zeus would not be overthrown. His reign would last. So why, thousands of years later, are we still telling these stories? Why do they still grip us when the people who first believed them are long gone? Because the birth of the gods was never really about gods. Look at what we actually just watched, a family tearing itself apart across 3 generations. Fathers terrified of being replaced by their own children, sons rising up against the men who made them, a mother's desperate love saving a child against impossible odds, power, fear, jealousy, betrayal, and the deep human terror of being overthrown by the next generation. The Greeks were using these vast cosmic stories to wrestle with the most human feelings there are. They were asking the questions we still ask. Where did everything come from? Why is the world the way it is? Why do parents and children clash? Can we ever escape the patterns of the people who raised us? They didn't have science to answer those questions, so they had something else. They had stories, the greatest stories they could imagine. And those stories were so powerful that we still tell them today, still name our planets and our rockets and our brands after these gods, still feel the pull of a tale first told around a fire 3,000 years ago. That terrified king, swallowing his children on his throne, wasn't really a monster from the dawn of time. He was every parent's fear, every ruler's paranoia, every one of us afraid of being left behind, written across the entire universe in letters of fire and thunder. That's why this is the greatest mythology ever told, because beneath the gods and the monsters, it has always secretly been about us. Zeus now sits on the throne of the cosmos. The gods are born, the universe has order, but the story is only beginning. Because now there is a new question. What happens when these powerful, passionate, dangerous gods turn their eyes downward and create us? Humankind. That is where this saga goes next. So here's my ask before you go. Subscribe and ring the bell right now, so part 2 lands in your feed the moment it's out. We're about to witness the creation of humanity, the theft of fire from the gods, and the most famous punishment in all of mythology. And you have to be here for it. Subscribe, drop a comment, and let's keep this going together. In part 2, the gods create mortal men and women, and one rebel god risks everything to steal the secret of fire and hand it to us, unleashing a punishment that echoes through eternity. Tell me in the comments, who was the real villain of part 1, Uranus, Cronus, or someone else? I read every single one. I'm History Geek. Thanks for journeying through the corridors of time with me. I'll see you in part 2.